Welcome, everybody, to a special Thanksgiving Eve edition of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, episode 163. I am your handsome host, the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and in my upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, Ohio State's own, College Cuttrell.
What's going on, gentlemen? It's about to be a great weekend. We got a little appetizer early on last night. Cavs got the win in overtime over the Sixers. So that's just the beginning of it here. We're building up to this upcoming weekend, and it's looking to be a glorious weekend for one of us here shortly.
What do you mean appetizer? The Cavs got to win over the Sixers. What do you
just teams that I follow, that I root for to win. So
you think Cavs, it's a great weekend.
Cavs win that game.
A regular season game, and they're in fifth place in the East.
Well, we're playing. We played the Sixers. It was an in-season tournament game. It's just a great first.
Now that's something you care about.
First step.
Just wondering. We all talked about it being a joke, and no one cares.
It is a joke. It is a joke.
Now it's something you care about.
If we're gonna play it, I mean, of course I want to win it. I don't care too much about it. It's still a joke, but
sounds like
compete.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Sounds to me like he's trying to brag that his team got a regular season win when they haven't won a playoff series since LeBron left.
It sounds to me like your team was on the wrong end of defeat yesterday. That's what it sounds like.
I think we're in second place. You're in fifth.
Did you lose yesterday?
We did.
Okay.
Regular season games. We're not gonna go 82-0, brother.
No Donovan Mitchell either. Hey, good win. Good team.
Hey, no Kelly Oubre. Same thing.
Rehabbing his accident injuries.
In the upper right corner.
Accident, eh?
I got Scholastic Shally. Uncle Shally. U of M Shally. It's Mr. Cheat on your girl. I'm kidding. Shally, but the cheetahs are out. Mr. William Shallcross.
What's going on, boys?
I don't want to
Thanksgiving.
I don't want to call you a cheater too much tonight. But with all and more information that continues to come out, I will put out a personal guarantee that this will be the last season that Jim Harbaugh coaches at Michigan.
Okay.
It's a personal guarantee. What a topic should be? What NFL team he's going to join after he gets thrown out of college football?
The Chicago Bears. He won't get thrown out. He's going to leave and not have to deal with the sanctions of it.
What NFL team do you think he'll join, Bill?
I mean, I think if he does, Chicago's, I think, is obviously going to be a job that's going to be open.
You don't think Matt Eberflus is doing a job?
I do not. I don't think Matt Eberflus is getting the best out of his players.
No, not at all.
I think that's safe to say. Trying to think who else is. I would say I'd love to see him. If he's from the West Coast. He's had success there before. I'd love to see him go coach Justin Herbert. I think everybody would be really excited about that. I think those are the two teams that I think you're guaranteed to have job openings on. I don't know if anybody else is. Maybe Atlanta. I don't like that job though without a quarterback. Obviously, Chicago and the Chargers would be way more attractive, knowing you have talented kids in that position already.
We're going to recap some NFL games, but speaking of the Chargers once again figured out a way to lose a football game. They did. Now, listen, I will be clear when I say this. They had a lot of miscues on that football team. Austin Eckler fumbled inside the 10-yard line. Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown pass that Cottrell would have caught. Quentin Johnson, Mr. First-round draft pick, dropped a ball that was placed in his hand. Yeah, but the big one was the one placed in his hand.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are just a walking mess. and it's funny to watch. It's just not funny when I pick them in my pick 'em and they lose because they can't catch the football. But I will say this. Did you not see Austin Eckler? Like, I've never been really fast, right? But, like, you want to talk about a guy that's lost a step. My man's lost a mile.
He looked like he was running in quicksand. You're talking about that play, that run to the left. He was running looked like he was running quicksand, not going to lie.
Like, he lost a mile.
He hasn't looked like the same player all year, for being honest.
No. But we got a lot to talk about. Let's recap a little NFL last week. That wasn't even the worst drop ball of the week. Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles at Arrowhead. First half, it looked like we were just going to get dominated that football game. Spags had the game plan. They took their best cover corner and were blitzing them off the edge every friggin' play. Cover 0, coming after the quarterback. 5 sacks for Jalen Hurts in the first half. They ran the ball for 100 yards in the first half. The Eagles were allowing 64 yards per game on the ground. They ran for 112 in the first half. Mahomes was getting anything he wanted. Then the second half hit. And I will say this. I'll be very clear. I'm going to give Sean Desai his credit. I want to give the Eagles offense their credit. They definitely made some adjustments. But, man, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, for being that much of an athlete, that guy stinks. Blows by Bradley Roby. He's got a 5-yard separation. The ball is put so on the money that you couldn't help but catch the ball. Dropped it. Minute 50 left in the game. Who knows what it would have happened? They could have won the game there. The Eagles could have came down and kicked the field goal. Could have went to overtime. Eagles could have came down and won the football game. But I will say this. Kansas City Chiefs fans, not very happy. Not very happy about that. Travis Kelce fumble. Is it time for the Chiefs to panic a little?
Yes. I mean, I think that's the easy answer is yes. Obviously, you still have Patrick Mahomes, and you're one drop pass away from winning that game, and people are probably looking at you. Well, going ahead in that game at least, and people are looking at you like, "Hey, you're still the favorites to come out of the AFC, and you just beat who a lot of people think probably should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year." So, I don't want to just go full-fledged panic mode, but at the end of the day, you saw what the Eagles did to that Chiefs offense in that second half. It was you bracket Travis Kelce and make one of those other guys beat you. And so if you're dependent on Rashee Rice or Marquez Valdes-Scantling or even Isaiah Pacheco to go out there and make a play to go and win you a football game, especially when you got to go up against some of the top DBs in the league on some of these great teams like Jalen Ramsey with the Dolphins. I'm not saying the Dolphins are going to be their best threat, but like there's just so many teams that, in so many games where our best guy is the reason why we're going to win a football game. And the Chiefs really don't have that right now outside of Travis Kelce. And if we're being honest, teams are focusing in on Travis, and it looks like Travis has kind of lost a step as well. So I wouldn't be full-fledged panic button, but I'm definitely looking at my team, and we talked about it when we went over the trade deadline. I felt like the Chiefs were losers then, and I think it's showing even more now that they don't have a veteran receiver that Patrick can rely on with the game on the line.
Shally, tell us why he's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong. I would just agree. I don't think it's full-fledged panic mode. I think if you look, the opportunities were there. I think it's an execution issue. Pacheco didn't have a great game. Travis Kelce looked. That's the worst. Honest to God, that's the worst game I can remember. Like watching him play. Obviously, I don't watch every Kansas City Chief game, but the drop, the fumble. Don't want to say what it is, but kind of looked preoccupied, not fully mentally there. I'm not trying to throw any hate T-Swizzle's way, but it's
be careful. I don't want my show canceled. I don't want the show canceled.
It is. It just makes you ask. It makes you ask a question, though. That he just looked preoccupied last night. He looked disinterested, and that's very, very un-Travis Kelce. You mentioned the Scantling play. If he catches that ball, it's a whole different game. So I think the opportunities are still there. I think it was a game where they just didn't execute and do the little things. And when you're playing a very, very good football team in the Eagles, the little things lead to big things. And that is, when you want to win big football games, you have to do all the little things right. The little things is what will lose you a game. And that was the difference in the second half. You tighten those things up. I think the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Like Cottrell said, you still have Patrick Mahomes. You're still the best quarterback on the planet. I think they're fine. I wouldn't be, hitting fire alarms and panic alarms and anything like that. They got to tighten up everything. And I think maybe have a little meeting and everybody, hey, we can't cakewalk through this. Get your heads out of your asses and come ready to play this weekend. And, I would expect the Chiefs to go to, I think they play Las Vegas this week. That game might get ugly. I think you'll see a very, very focused football team and, kind of get back to square one and do the little things. And I think the Chiefs are going to be just fine. They're still the best team in the AFC.
Okay. Well, we got some games to preview for this week. We have some Thursday night football, Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Day football. Is there something else you want to bring up about last week, guys?
No, I mean, it's the AFC. The AFC is it's getting weird with all the quarterbacks going down. I mean, Burrow being down now. I mean, Cincinnati's done. Just crazy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think the other interesting thing is that we're looking at, I feel like you should see some coaches get fired this upcoming weekend. Like by next Monday or Tuesday, you should see some more coaches lose their job. Like Ron Rivera, I don't know how or why you keep him on for the rest of the year if you go out there and lose this upcoming game. You saw Matt Canada obviously just got canned. And then with Buffalo, you saw how much better their offense looked with Joe Brady calling the plays. Now I get it. It was the Jets and, Zach Wilson didn't play great and, everything that goes into that. But let's not forget the Jets lost week 1 to that same Jets team that had Zach Wilson out there on the field, and they didn't score a ton of points in that one. So maybe that is kind of not saying Ken Dorsey was the reason why the offense looked as bad as it had, but maybe these teams losing their coaches just kind of light this spark under them. So I'd be curious to see how many coaches get the can after this upcoming week.
Oh, it should be a few. I don't know how Riverboat Ron made it out of the New York football game. I would have fired him immediately and had, I guess, short week. I guess let them get blown out by the Cowboys, and then you give Eric Bieniemy.
The Giants game, I think, was. The problem with you, if you're a Rivera fan, is, he hasn't had a quarterback since he's been there. So, it's you could say what you want. You can bring in whoever you want to coach. I'm just telling you, in that division, you want to compete. It ain't bad Carson Wentz. It ain't Sam Howell. It ain't Heineke and any of those guys. I don't care who you put on the bench of that team. You don't get that guy a quarterback. They're not competing in that division. It's just not going to happen.
I get you, but you also can't lose to Tommy DeVito.
I get it. I'm not excusing that. I'm just saying you can put whoever you want on that sideline there. If you think you're going to compete in the NFC East with a C-rated quarterback, it's just not going to happen.
To be fair, the Giants did last year. I'm kidding. I just wanted to take a shot at Daniel Jones. Any chance I get to. He's a C-rated quarterback. Let's stop lying to ourselves. He stinks.
That might be generous.
Okay. I'll be generous. I give him a C. But we got a lot of coaches that are on the hot seat right now. Matt Canada getting fired is honestly, I don't know why we didn't get on top of the South Park meme and getting to blame Canada and then having photos of them. And that would have been viral. We should have did it. We didn't do it. But the Steelers aren't they interviewing offensive coordinator mid-season, which is kind of wild to me. You think they would just name one. Cottrell, did they name an OC or?
I think they said that their running back coach is the one that's going to be calling plays this week. They said he's going to be calling the bulk of the plays, which I don't know what that means. Is he just going to call first and second down, and then someone else is going to sprinkle in third down calls? Especially with Mike Tomlin being a defensive guy, I don't get how he's not just their signal caller all game. But it's the Steelers. They got a formula that works. Usually they don't have a revolving door on their coaching staff, so I'm sure they got a plan to figure that out.
And maybe Hugh Jackson. That's what I'm hearing.
Mike Tomlin does have a track record for trying to give people second chances.
I hear you. I will say this. Looking at all the situations that are around the league, Brandon Staley, Ron Rivera, Matt Eberflus, they're guarantees, right? Those guys are all being fired before the end of the season, or at least not being brought back next year, right? There's no doubt in anyone's mind that those three guys are gone.
Nope.
Okay. So let's talk about Turkey Day football games. What a surprise to talk about this. The Detroit Lions are playing the Green Bay Packers at a 12 o'clock game on Thanksgiving, and the Lions are the heavy favorites. Like, how many years have you watched Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre dice up the Lions on Thanksgiving? I don't think the Love Boat is getting that done. So let's just at least talk about that game for a minute, where your head goes in that game. I think the Lions laid their stinker last week versus the Bears. I think they've been ready for this football game for a while. I think they want to show the national media and any single person that will watch why they're here, why they're him, they're Himothy. I think the Lions blow them out this week. I think it's an absolute, like, I think you can eat your turkey and not worry about the second half of that football game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the real Detroit Lions show up that have showed up in the majority of the year, I think you get a pretty lopsided game. And like you said, it's probably pretty easy watch at 12 o'clock if you're a Lions fan. But they've had a couple stinkers this year. I mean, they pulled out last week, like you said, against Chicago, because Chicago's going to do Chicago things, and they got away with it there. But who did get killed by earlier this year?
Baltimore. They got the
Baltimore. Yeah. They went to Baltimore, got smoked. I do think they're trying to solidify their place. Everybody in the NFC just kind of conversation starts with Philly and San Fran, and you still get all the Dallas crazy people. And then it's kind of still Detroit, which is, it's. I think they're trying to still, fight for the respect. But I agree with Gene. I don't know if there's a ton to talk about in this game. I think if they come out and execute and just play a B-level game against the Packers, I think they win and they get a Thanksgiving Day victory, and they can go home and eat dinner with their families. I don't think there's a lot to look at here. I think they just got to clean things up and do what they normally do, and I think they're fine.
Cottrell?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, I think this is a game where the Lions know exactly what they need to do, and Chicago really caught them slipping. I think that was a perfect game to try and catch the Lions, and then they ultimately still pulled it out. So I don't think they're going to come in with more of a relaxed mindset. Like, had they blown out the Bears last week, I do think this could have been a situation where maybe, Green Bay catches the line slipping a little bit. But having that scare last week, I don't think you're going to see Jared Goff struggle the same way. Plus, Derek Dempsey said it as well in the chat. Aaron Jones is banged up. A.J. Dillon's banged up. And Jordan Love isn't playing the same caliber football that he was earlier on in the year. So I like the Lions to roll in this one, and I don't think this one's particularly close.
Next game on the docket, the Cowboys do nothing, beat up on bad teams. They don't have a win versus a team that's over 500. They're playing another team under 500. They have the Washington Commanders fresh off that Tommy DeVito debacle and losing to the Giants. How you see this one, Cottrell?
So I'm rolling with the Cowboys here as well. Actually, it's going to be one of my picks. I'll give you a little insight on that. The Cowboys, I said it last week when I picked them over the Panthers, and you just hit on it as well. Cowboys are notorious for beating up on the bottom feeders, and Dak Prescott's going to probably, I think, submit his name into the MVP discussion after this upcoming game. Doesn't deserve to be there, but that's where it's going to be. He's going to put up 4 touchdowns. It's going to be on national TV. Everyone's going to be watching this game. It's Thanksgiving. So I'm telling you right now, you're going to hear that chatter of, is Dak Prescott in the MVP discussion? So, but I got the Cowboys winning big.
Shally.
Yeah, the NFC Dolphins, they'll beat up on whoever they're playing tomorrow. They never play a good team on Thanksgiving. Jerry gets the prime TV, the 4:30 dinner time slot all the time. They'll beat up on Washington. They'll do, whatever. So this will probably be close for like a half because it is a divisional game. They are used to seeing each other. And then Sam Howell will probably start throwing the ball to Dallas a couple times, and it'll probably get ugly in the second half. Dak is not nowhere near the MVP conversation. I don't know how you could possibly be an MVP candidate if you don't beat a football team with a winning record. That's kind of crazy to me. But yeah, I mean, he'll stat pad this game just like they always do.
I'm just telling you the narrative, not saying I believe it.
It's the BS. It's a BS cowboy narrative. But like I said, it's it'll get washed away like it always does. Once they go play San Fran, the Eagles again, lose both those games, and then it'll be he'll be 0-3 versus teams that it matters. So, but again, the Cowboys are just better. I think they'll. With Washington having no real pass rush now, I think Dallas will do what they want offensively, and the defense is just going to pin their ears back and go against that Washington offensive line that's beat up. And like I said, Sam Howell's probably good for at least 1, if not 2 picks. Game gets ugly in the second half. Cowboys roll.
I don't know how. I don't know why. But I'm telling you right now, Washington plus 13.5 is a lock. Every time Washington plays Dallas, I don't care if it was the Monday Night Football game with Colt McCoy, last year's Week 17 matchup with Sam Howell. When Washington plays Dallas, those games are way closer than they ever should be. And most of the times, Washington comes out looking like roses. I love Washington in this spot. I really do. Coming off the worst loss they could possibly have, losing to Tommy DeVito, playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. I know this will be a rallying cry for Eric Bieniemy, for Ron Rivera. I think Washington comes out and smacks him in the face. This might, I'll tell you right now, it's like plus 600. I'd sprinkle money line. I'm telling you right now, Washington's going to keep this game close. Book it. You'll be able to cash this game out at halftime. Washington keeps it close.
My only thing, though, is that I think everyone in that Washington plays football like they've given up on Ron Rivera. Like, when a team has their coaches back in certain situations, like even think back to when Anthony Lynn was with the Chargers that year that they won 7-9, and then he ultimately got the boot. They were still playing hard for him. This Washington Commanders team earlier on in the year was like, okay, the offense is looking explosive. Like Sam Howell maybe he's better than what we thought he was. This team looks like they've quit on Ron Rivera, and I think they know it's a matter of time before he's gone. And so I'd almost wonder, do they want to – I'm not saying they're just going to go out there and throw the game, but are they ready to have that change happen and just get Eric Bieniemy to lead their group?
Can I tell you why I disagree with you there? They played the Seahawks, a 29-26 game the week prior. They beat the Patriots 2 weeks prior, 20-17. And if I'm being completely honest, they have 9 sacks versus Tommy DeVito. It wasn't like they were playing uninspired football. They were just making a ton of mistakes. I watched that football game because I had the Washington Commanders part of my money line parlay, which I lost, which is fine. But I will say this. I feel like the Commanders team hasn't quit. And watching them, it doesn't look like they've quit. It looks to me like they're just a Jekyll and Hyde team, a team that makes a lot of mistakes. I think Dallas will capitalize on mistakes. I think they'll probably win the football game, but I think it's going to be a really close game. Let's go on the nightcap. The San Francisco 49ers might be playing the Geno-less Seattle Seahawks. What do you guys think? They moved in Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks always play San Fran tough. The spread, I think, is 7, if I'm not mistaken. What is your thought process on this game? Start us off, Cottrell.
I think that Vegas knows something that we don't, because even with Geno playing, like I think with Geno playing, I can understand that spread being there. But with so many rumors of him not, being able to go and just their limitations and how Pete Carroll's talked about him, I feel like Vegas knows something that I don't, because I feel like this line should be, you should be looking at an 8.5, 9.5 kind of point spread in this one, because even with Geno healthy, with him banged up, especially with the way that San Francisco defense is looking now, I fully expect them to blow out this Seahawks team. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Something's just giving me that something's fishy about this game, but I expect the 49ers to roll in this one. In how it looks in my mind, I think all these games are going to be pretty much over by, 5 minutes into the third quarter. I think all of them are blowouts.
Shall
I think 7.5 is kind of on the money if you're assuming he's playing. I don't get fishy there because, like Gene said, Seattle is one of the places that San Fran notoriously does not play real well in. And Seattle always plays them tough there. They play everybody tough at home. They don't have to rule Geno out yet. I do think if you're going to bet San Fran, bet them now because if they do rule Geno out at like early in the afternoon, that line's going to jump fast. So, I think obviously San Francisco is a better team. They go in and play their game, especially without a Geno Smith. Somebody mentioned Kenneth Walker is banged up. I think he'll probably
Walker's not playing.
He's not. There you go. So they'll go to Charbonnet, but it's Seattle still is a talented offense, but without their starting quarterback against that San Francisco defense, I think that is a big hill to ask anybody to climb in prime time national TV on a holiday. So I like San Fran in this game.
I like San Fran also, but I will say this. I don't think that there's a drop-off at quarterback for Seattle if Geno Smith doesn't play. Like, lock it in. Drew Lock goes in there and starts throwing dots to DK Metcalf. I don't think there's a huge drop-off. I think Geno Smith's played terrible this year. Like, don't kid yourself. Last year was a one-hit wonder for Geno Smith. Now, he had a couple decent games in the beginning of the season, but if we're being honest with ourselves, Seattle's not playing good, especially offensively. With all those weapons, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Geno Smith hasn't looked good. Lock it in. Let's give Drew a shot.
I think the problem with Drew Lock is he's going to come in. DK Metcalf will probably love it. Tyler Lockett will probably love it because he loves throwing the deep ball and taking his shots, but he's horribly turnover prone, and that is. I mean, that's what got him out of Denver. I mean, he shows flashes when you watch him play that you're like, if he could just do that and eliminate the really bad interceptions, he's a borderline starter in the NFL. But I mean, that's always been his Achilles heel. He throws a bad interception at a really bad time a lot. And if you're going to give San Francisco on that offense short fields, that's a recipe for disaster, man.
And I think the other thing too is that I think it would be different if this wasn't the San Francisco 49ers defense that he was going up against. Like, bringing him in cold pretty much to first start to be against this 49ers team. I know he started in the past, but I think that is tough to do, especially on a short week. So
they just listed Geno Smith as tracking the play. So I think I just checked that. Sorry.
Regardless, though, especially the way Seattle's offensive line looks in certain games, Chase Young and Nick Bosa are going to have a field day getting after Geno Smith. So
I agree.
I think at some point you're going to see Drew Lock regardless. I don't know. I think Seattle is going to have a hard time moving the football and creating a rhythm just because they're going to be getting after whoever's back there at quarterback.
All right, so we got two games that we must cover on Sunday. Jacksonville versus Houston. This is for the division. The game is in Houston. It's almost a pick 'em. Earlier in the season, Houston kicked the dog crap out of Jacksonville. I think this is a different Jaguars team. I'll start with this one. I really like the Jaguars to go into Houston and knock off the Texans. I think that Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, and I think that Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley finally hit their stride together this past week versus Tennessee. I think Jacksonville finds a way to win a high-scoring game. I have it like 31-20. Jacksonville, I think they'll win the football game, and I think they'll step away from Houston in the division.
Oh, that's an interesting take. I think the biggest thing for me is the way CJ Stroud has been playing, and not just the way he's been playing, but the confidence that he's built throughout this season so far. I loved what he said in his press conference at the end of last week, talking about his turnovers and how, yes, those are some things that he does need to fix. But, when Steph Curry misses a ton of shots, he doesn't stop shooting. So I love that he has that confidence. And I think D'Amico Ryans has those guys poised and ready to take over that division. And so I got the Texans winning this game again. I think the Jags are going to come out and be a lot more aggressive and try to attack. Like, they know what's coming now. Before, I feel like the Jags were kind of like, hey, we're going to go into Houston, beat up on little bro, and just really move on. They know that's not the case anymore. I think this game is going to be tight, but I mean, with the game on the line, I think CJ Stroud is going to go down and lead Houston to another walk-off victory.
I am picking this game, so I will go into it when we get to pick them.
Okay. Now, once again, I mention this every single week. Either whether it be on sideline to sideline, whether it be on wire to wire, whether it be on cheap seats, whatever. I mention this every single week. I love looking at the schedule, and one of my favorite things to do is to see tickets as low as. Now, lowest ticket in the house would be the Buffalo Bills at the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon. The minimum price that you can tickets as low as $246. It's the highest in the NFL. It is every single week. Doesn't matter if it's in Philly or where they're playing. Philadelphia is the biggest draw in the NFL right now. They're playing the Buffalo Bills on a short week. Josh Allen announced he's back after throwing a 7-yard slant that Shakir took to the house and made 16 moves. But Josh Allen's back, right? That was not anything to do with Josh Allen. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, him claiming he's back after hitting an 8-yard pass that a wide receiver took to the house. But with that being said, the Buffalo Bills coming off a convincing victory over the New York Jets, Joe Brady calling the plays. What are your thoughts on Buffalo at Philadelphia?
I'm picking this too, but I'll go into it a little bit. I lean on the side of Gene here. I don't think Buffalo is necessarily all the way back. I think they played a better game last week, and I think it was a little bit of a different look with Joe Brady calling plays. But at the end of the day, I mean, they still have their pitfalls. I mean, they're still going to do the same things. Josh Allen is still the same quarterback. I know he had a great game last week. He's going to play an elite defense this week. He's going to play an elite defense that is going to make him throw the ball quickly. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball super efficiently. Nobody's really been able to run the ball against the Eagles. I think it's going to be a tough day for him to come in here and have some kind of great statistical game against that defense and that team.
I'm also picking this game, so I'll just go into my whole spiel when we get there. But I will say the Bills, just kind of talking about last week, the Bills need to realize that the Jets are the Jets, and Josh Allen needs to realize that you can't say you're back with the upcoming schedule that you have. Like, we'll know how much you are back here within the next 2 to 3 weeks, because the Bills schedule, their next 3 or 4 games is absolutely brutal. So I think he may have
KC and then Dallas.
Yeah, like those are 3 games where they have a good shot of losing all 3 of those games. And at that point, we're talking about Buffalo not being in the playoffs, and what are they going to do next? Maybe McDermott's on the hot seat. So I think it's a little premature to call that. I get the emotions were running high from that game, but I need Josh Allen to prove it to me against one of these top-notch teams.
I will say this, and I'm not saying that I'm always nervous about Eagles games, right? Some games I feel more confident than others. I'm nervous about this football game. However, when I break down football and I look at the game and the matchup the way it's set out, what Buffalo does well, the Eagles do well. They're a bad we're a bad matchup for them. No Matt Milano, no Tre'Davious White. And I think that the Eagles defense as a whole is going to be able to get after Josh Allen and hit him. They can rush the quarterback and they can protect the quarterback. Buffalo's biggest strength is their defensive line with Ed Oliver, Von Miller, Gregory Rousseau. And I think the Eagles can easily hold that line in check. I think Buffalo does a great job stopping the run. The Eagles can run the football. I think where the Philadelphia Eagles win this football game is I think the defense causes multiple turnovers out of Josh Allen, and I think Philadelphia wins the football game. I think it's another ugly game, and I think we'll leave the game saying the Eagles haven't played their best game, but they're 10-1. But I don't care. A win's a win. It looks to me like a mismatch. Spread's kind of funny. Are you telling me these teams are even teams? Like, why is the spread 3? It's kind of odd. You're telling me on a neutral field this is a pick 'em? I don't think so. But I'll take Philadelphia in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they slipped up here. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to lose 1 or 2 of their next 3 games. It's just going to happen, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. They're not going 16-1, and they're not losing any of their final 3: New York, Arizona, and New York. So they're going to lose one. Could it be Buffalo? Could they be looking forward to San Francisco? Could that be the look-ahead game? I don't know. But they are wearing their Kelly greens. I'll take Philadelphia, but I'm hesitant. Let's get into NFL Pick'em. Do we got to throw this up here? This is
it's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. James.
I was doing a lot better, and now I'm defeated. I'm upset. Shalley's back in the lead, which is nice. It's good to see. What's the order this week, Shal?
You know what? I'm going to let Cottrell go first. I'll go second, and I'll let you go last, see if you can get your mojo back so we can keep the show percentage growing here.
All right. Well, I need that. I need it because when you pulled me out of the cleanup spot last week, I went 0-3. Can't have that happen.
So this is my fault, is what you're saying.
Yes, I'll blame anybody but myself.
I'm just saying in most cases, you go 0-3. You might not be in that cleanup spot for too much longer.
I will say this. It's like one of those power hitters that he has it. He's a little slump, right? I'm in a little slump. But he always comes out of it.
Okay. All right, so I'll kick us off here. I'll start with one of the games we just talked about. That's Cowboys versus Commanders. I'm taking the Cowboys minus 12.5. I know, I already talked about how I see that game going. I just think the Cowboys are a much better team, and they're going to be able to put up a lot of points against that Washington defense. And I mean, Sam Howell throws the ball well. He's going to make a mistake. Dallas is going to turn him over. They're going to get pressure on him. I think they cover that 12.5 pretty easily. Next game I like, another one that we just talked about, like the Eagles covering the 3 points against the Bills. I 100% agree with you, Gene. I think that the Eagles are a bad matchup for that Buffalo Bills team. And regardless of where you put Stephon Diggs, whether it be Bradbury or Slay, you're going to take him out of the equation of the game, and you're going to make one of those other weapons beat you. Now, Dalton Kincaid does have the ability to put up some big numbers. I do think the middle of the field can be a little bit more open, but I mean, am I thinking that Dalton Kincaid is going to be the reason why the Bills go in and win that football game? No, I don't think so. So I like the Eagles to win that football game by more than 3. Then the last one I like, kind of an ugly one, but I like the Saints plus 1.5 against the Falcons this week. Saints coming off the bye. Desmond Ridder is back in at quarterback for that Atlanta Falcons team. I think whenever you have Desmond Ridder out there on the field, you got a good chance if you go with the other side. So the Saints being dogs in this one, I think Dennis Allen and company is going to have them ready to go. And this is a game that's really for the division. Right now, the Saints are in first place, but if they lose this game, pretty sure they're going to swap with the Falcons and be out of that spot and out of the playoffs as we sit. So I like the Saints to go in there and win that football game.
I almost took that game. That was one of the last games I was looking at, but I don't know. I hate picking against Atlanta at home. That's always my problem. They play drastically better there for some reason, even though Desmond Ridder stinks. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with the hometown team. I'm taking Philly minus 3 against Buffalo. Just like we've already said, I think they're a bad matchup. I think DeAndre Swift has a huge game. I'm hoping they just come out and run the ball and stick with it. It's every time the Eagles go back to the running game and get it solidified, they start scoring points. The offense moves up and down the field every time. I hope they just don't try to overthink it. Get Swift going early, dominate time of possession, keep Allen in that offense off the field. I agree with Cottrell. I think no matter where Diggs lines up, he's on an elite corner on him. We've already discussed his shortcomings and his mental, outlook on not getting fed the ball early and not getting what he perceives is the right amount of targets per game. Gabe Davis has regressed this year. Nobody's been able to run the football against the Eagles this year. I don't think Cook will be able to either. I think a defensive line is going to eat. I think Josh Allen's going to be running a lot. I just don't see I don't see a really clear path for Buffalo to score a lot of points to stay in this football game. Give me the Eagles -3. Second game, going Cleveland +1.5 at Denver. I think Denver's been playing better. I know Denver's a tough place to play. That being said, they beat Minnesota and they beat a couple other teams the last couple of weeks. They're going to play an elite defense this week. I think Russell Wilson's been able to make a couple plays against teams that'll give it up. Minnesota does not have a great defense by any stretch of the imagination. Cleveland does. I think they're going to have him off the spot all game long. They're still struggling to throw the ball down the field. I don't think they're going to be able to run against Cleveland. I think Cleveland makes enough plays offensively. I think Cleveland wins a very low-scoring football game, but I'll take the 1.5 on the road. Last but not least, I'm taking Houston +1.5 at home. I think it's for the division. I don't think if anybody looked at this game beginning of the year and nobody had this on their bingo card as being for the division lead, in week whatever week we're in, week 11. It's crazy. I think D'Amico Ryans is going to switch up his game plan from the first time they played him. I'm going to show Trevor Lawrence stuff he hasn't seen already. And I agree with Cottrell. I think C.J. Stroud's just going to keep firing. I think he's going to keep taking shots downfield. I think they're going to make enough plays to pull one out. So I will take Houston +1.5 at home against Jacksonville.
Okay. I'm on the opposite end of one of your picks, Cottrell. I have the Commanders +13.5. I'm taking the extra point that FanDuel has given me already. They're 13.5 now. I'll take the Commanders.
Not 13.5 right now.
It is. I will show you. The Commanders +13.5 over Dallas. I got the Patriots +3.5, or I'm sorry, -3.5 over the New York Giants. I think Tommy DeVito and that garbage New York Giants team had their day. I'll take the Patriots -3.5. And then I think I'm doing this because I'm a glutton for punishment and because I think it's fun to laugh at my pain. But that's okay. Give me the Chargers +3.5 over Baltimore I think they lose the football game by 3. I swear to you, I think it's going to be a tie game, and I think something's going to go wrong, and Justin Tucker kicks a walk-off field goal, so I'll take the 3 and a hook. Give me the 3.5 Chargers over Baltimore. That's my picks this week.
I'm not giving you the extra point, Gene. I'm not doing it. I'm looking
I will
at
screenshot it and send it to you.
Washington's 12.5 on FanDuel right now.
Well, maybe it's not FanDuel. I seen 13.5. I got 13.5. That's what I'm
you're
taking.
Getting 12.5.
You guys can do whatever you want. I'm going to screenshot it and send it to the group. Lines fluctuate, my friends. It'd probably be 14.5 by kickoff.
That's fine.
You just said we are right now. I'm just saying where we're at now.
That's all. That's the only reason I even looked it up. You said FanDuel is giving me the extra point. So on FanDuel, we looked it up. It's 12.5. If you ever 13.5 somewhere else, that's fine. All you said is FanDuel.
It'll probably be 14.5 by kickoff.
Well, we all know it matters what it is tonight. We've all been burned by that.
I know. That's my problem. Oh, I got it right here on ESPN.com. 13.5. Please check. I'm not kidding. I'm going to zoom in for you weirdos.
Hey, we're against each other here.
Please see. Do you see it?
If it hits on 13.
Right in the camera.
If it hits on 13, we're
ESPN bet is 13.5.
Thank you. I'll take my 13.5. Leave me alone. Cheaters.
I'll take my 12.5 then.
It's fine. I'm taking my $200 free bet on ESPN bet. They're paying me to say. No, they're not even paying me to say. What the hell am I talking about? Get into college football. I want my 13.5. Damn it.
You know what? I'll give it to you. You showed you backed it up. I'll give it to you. I'm just saying. I also showed mine. I'm getting in that 12.5. So may our chips live, in our favor.
If it lands on 13, we both win.
Yep.
We got the college football rankings up right here. No change at the top. Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan number 3. We finally get a change at number 4, and it comes at the expense of a loss of one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Sad story for Florida State. Their season is basically coming to an end. Really nasty injury. Our prayers go out to Jordan Travis and Florida State's quarterback. So I think we could – I don't know, guys. They're undefeated, so you don't have to put them on the eliminator if you're not following Coast to Coast Saturday. They're basically eliminated, right?
I think the interesting thing with the committee moving Washington up is it's pretty much telling Florida State that they need help. They need help, and that's. I think it's weird that they waited that long to do it. I understand Washington played Oregon State, which was almost a top 10 matchup, so you have to give Washington their due and give them the credit. They moved up to 4, but it's pretty much telling them now, even if Florida State wins out and beats a 10th ranked Louisville in the ACC championship game, then it's not going to be enough if Washington wins out. So they do have Oregon left on the docket in the Pac-12 championship game. So Florida State needs help now. So I mean it's kind of crazy for them to be a top 4 team all year and winning and then still win a game. After losing their star quarterback and a guy who was in the thick of the Heisman race most of the year. And then bump them down to 5. So, if you're a Florida State fan, all you can do is take care of your own business. You got to go out and beat Florida this week, and then which will be a decent win, and then go out and beat Louisville, and then it gets interesting. I mean, then you become the biggest Oregon fan in the world. I don't know how that becomes a mess. I don't know what they do there. I don't know. I don't know. I think the easy cop-out is going to be they can put Oregon in even with a loss, even over an undefeated Florida State, because they'll say Florida State doesn't have their quarterback. That's going to be a big argument. I think we're getting closer and closer to chaos here, which is, which makes this time of the year very fun.
I got two real big beefs.
Oh, I got it. I hope you say the one.
All right. So the first beef I have is listen, I'm not talking about the rankings for a second. I'll get into the rankings. But my biggest beef is that for whatever reason, because Jaden Daniels had 6 touchdowns or 8 total touchdowns versus Little Sister of the Poor, they played Georgia State Panthers, and Jaden Daniels played the whole friggin' game. He's now tied to be the Heisman favorite when Bo Nix throws 6 touchdowns in the first freaking half, and they sit him. Like, come on. Because they play Little Sisters of the Poor. Now, the second part, it just bothers me a little bit. It doesn't bother me that much, but I will say this. The committee keeps showing you that head-to-head matters so much, even more than Texas looking like shit for the last month, and Alabama looking like world beaters for the last month. Both teams have 1 loss. The argument could be made that Alabama's loss is better than Texas's loss. I'm glad Texas is at 7 because it lets me know that they can sneak into the CFP, and that's where I want them. But I don't think it's fair.
I mean, I think your point is definitely valid. Quinn being back now does change things a little bit. And I know they didn't look, even with him being back, they haven't looked like the same Texas team that beat Alabama. But at the end of the day, I mean, the head-to-head absolutely does matter. And I understand the argument that Alabama's a different team than what they were back then. But that you play these games and, you schedule those non-conference games because of the head-to-head factor. So I do think you still have to respect that, although these teams do look different now. And I do believe that Texas still would have the edge, even if Bama goes on and beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Now, with that said, I mean, absolute chaos would be on our hands there. But my real beef right now with these rankings is that Tennessee is still ranked. They shouldn't have been ranked last week. And they get the doors blown off them against Georgia, and they come in at 21. Like, I just don't understand the logic there. Like Clemson, essentially, they are in a very similar boat than what Clemson was. Clemson, everybody that they played, they were losing against, but Clemson has actually turned the corner and started to beat some decent competition. That's why they're back. It took them all the way until this week to be back in the poll. But because Tennessee is in the SEC and, they get these big games against these schools like Georgia and Alabama, they leave them in the rankings, but their best win all season is Kentucky. Like, it's an absolute joke that they're still here in the top 25.
I think the argument is he wants, if Ohio State beats Michigan, he wants that number 1. That's where I feel like that is.
No, I mean, it's 100% just resume. Like, if your best win is Kentucky, I don't care who you are, you have 4 losses, you shouldn't be ranked in the top 25. Like, there's no way you can justify that to me.
I agree. I'm just being a pain. I feel like the reason that you find such a bone with it, though, is because it's a ranked win for Georgia, and you want the resume to look better for Ohio State.
But regardless, it's a ranked win for Georgia because when they played them, they were ranked. Now, I said they shouldn't have been ranked last week, but this week, I mean, they're not playing anybody. Like, there is no stipulation. Like, they're not playing Alabama this week or LSU or Ole Miss to potentially like get them some extra style points. Like, let's rank these teams for what they are. Tennessee is not the 21st best team in the country.
I agree.
It's there. There's no way at this point of the year you can have a 4-loss team doesn't have a ranked win of its own in the top 25. I don't care what goddamn conference they play in. You know, it's a joke. It's a joke. And they're on there strictly for that reason, to keep Georgia's stock there, keep Alabama, everybody else. Like, there's no other reason. Clemson shouldn't be freaking ranked either. They shouldn't. They got 4 losses. There's 2, like Liberty's 10-1. They were destroying everybody. I understand they're not a Power 5 team, but there's too many teams like them that are 1 loss that have good little football teams that deserve to be ranked. If you're Clemson and you're getting smoked on your home field by other 4-loss teams, that doesn't get you ranked. Sorry, you're not good this year. Tennessee's not good this year. Like, get them out of here, man. Like, it's enough. Like, the big bias is out of control. Like, Tulane just beats everybody, and they've gone up 2 spots in the last week where everybody from 18 to 25 that's in a Power 5 just keeps shuffling in and out.
Well, Missouri being ranked ahead of Louisville is kind of the same thing.
It's 100% the same thing. They got 2 losses. Missouri's best win all season has been Kansas State, which is a good win. But you could argue that they should have lost that game, and I've been on record saying that before as well. Louisville's a team, their 1 loss is bad. They lost to Pitt. I 100% understand that. But they also have good wins on their resume. No way that they should be behind that Missouri team. It's basically telling everybody out there that even if Louisville goes and wins the ACC championship game, they are not making the college football playoff.
Yeah, and that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, there's a couple chaos scenarios here that are in play.
Can we talk about it?
Sure. I mean, the biggest
I want chaos.
Here's the good thing if you're me or Cottrell. No matter what happens Saturday, if you win, you're in. So that is, that's comforting. It's going to be comforting to one of us. There's a way that there's not an SEC team in the Final Four. If people don't want to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you right now, if they put it's going to be a tough sell to somebody if they decide to put Alabama or Georgia in over like an undefeated Florida State or a 1-loss Texas or a 1-loss Oregon that are conference champions. You just can't do it. I mean, Texas holds the ultimate ace there. I don't care who's in that goddamn room, who's on the committee. I don't think you could come out and say we're putting Bama in over Texas.
I don't think there's a chance that there's not an SEC team in the college football playoff. I don't think
either, because I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama. But
if Alabama beats Georgia, Alabama's 100% in.
And that's
so you tough. You get them in over Texas, where clearly they've been talking about.
I think it would be the winner of Ohio State, Michigan. I think it would be Alabama. I think it would be the winner of Washington, Oregon, and I think it would be Texas if they win the Big 12. So that's your 4 teams. What am I missing?
Florida State.
Florida State's not going to write them off. They're done.
I agree. But if they go and win both their games,
yeah, I don't know how you could say 13-0 conference champion sitting there doesn't get in.
And like, I get it. You lost your quarterback when you did. Let's not forget
they're going to lose this week, so it doesn't going to matter.
That's another story.
But they're gonna lose this week to Florida.
Let's not forget though. Ohio State, first ever college football playoff. Ohio State lost their quarterback before the Big Ten championship game, and they still got in. Now, I get it, there weren't other teams like right behind them on their heels, things like that. But you got to respect Florida State if they go 13-0. You have to put them in the playoff.
I agree. Here's what I would tell you. Beating Florida is not what normally it is. So, we'll pump the brakes on that. But it is still a rivalry game if they get that done. But that being said, if they go to a neutral field and beat the number 10 team in the country with a backup quarterback, they've earned it. Like
I think a lot of people in Oregon are going to be really upset if that happens because that's the team that's going to get left out.
But then, Oregon has no way to blame it themselves. But I'm
saying that's the team that's going to get left out. If Alabama wins their conference and beats Georgia, and Texas wins their conference and beats, and for whatever reason Florida State goes undefeated, then Oregon's going to be the team they leave out because they're going to look at the Alabama win over Georgia as the best win out of any of the games, right? They're going to go Alabama over Georgia is the best win, and then they're going to go Texas beat Alabama head-to-head. So who could we leave out here? Oh, we could leave Oregon out. And they'll do that.
But the flip side of that, though, is you have a scenario where your Big Ten champ's going to be undefeated.
Yes.
If Washington wins that football game against Oregon, they're undefeated. They are in.
They're in.
That's 100%.
Florida State. I'm of the mindset that if they go 13-0 and win that conference, they should be in. And then that leaves you Texas, one loss, or Alabama, one loss, and they just beat the Georgia Bulldogs that rattled off 30 in a row.
So, real quick, Alex says Texas doesn't jump Oregon in any scenario. Alex, I'm telling you right now, they can because the way they'll do it is you want to talk about SEC bias, it'll piss you off so much because they'll make an argument because Texas beat Bama, but they have to put Bama in because Bama, like roll tide. You understand? So Oregon will be the team that gets left out if that happens.
Here's the thing. I brought this up last week on Coast to Coast, and Alex gets mad at it. You put a blind resume up, you put Alabama against Oregon's, and it's not close. Oregon's best win right now is Utah. Slice it however you want. Alabama has a better resume.
And because Texas beat Alabama in Bama, and if they win the Big 12, they beat Oklahoma, they avenge their loss, they're going to – I'm telling you.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree too. But I'm here for the scenario of you have three – Alex, I'm sorry. Stop watching right now while I say this. I'm here for the scenario of us having three undefeated conference champions.
You got a better chance of seeing God. That's not happening.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that's a scenario that I want to be signed up for.
And I want to be signed up for madness. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Madness gets kicked off without a doubt if Bama beats Georgia. Because like we said, at that point, if you're sitting at home Sunday, either Ohio State or Michigan are the easiest breathing people in the world because whoever wins is in.
And whoever loses is out.
Correct. Agreed. 100% agree.
There's a playoff game this Saturday.
It is. Washington has their own destiny in their hands. If they win out, they are 100% in. Oregon needs to beat Washington. Florida State has, in my opinion, has their destiny in their own hands. If they win out, they're in. I don't. And that's fine if you say that. And if that's the case, then they're not in the discussion. I get it. I don't disagree with you. There's no case. I don't think there's a way a one-loss ACC team gets in. I 100% agree. But I'm also telling you, I don't think there's any shot that committee is going to come out and say a team that went 13-0 in a Power 5 and won their conference championship, we're telling those kids they're not playing in the college football playoff. It's not happening. They're in.
I think it gets real dicey.
Crazy.
I think it gets real dicey with that Georgia and Alabama game because somehow, some way, if Alabama does win that game, I think depending on how some stuff shakes out in these other conferences, you could be potentially looking at Georgia sneaking in and getting that 4 seed. Like, I think that's a scenario that would be up there.
You can't put them in over. You can't put them in over.
I'm saying if Washington's going to have to hold serve in that scenario. You're putting Georgia in over a 1-loss Ohio State or over a 1-loss Michigan. That's just what's going to happen.
Agreed.
In this scenario as well. Florida State would be a loser either to Florida or to Louisville, which I think we all agree that that's very possible. And then you're just looking at, I mean, who would be left there? I mean, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of I mean,
but that's stuff that I think can happen. Like Washington beating Oregon is not the craziest thing in the world. We're all picking Oregon. It sounds like it's to begin with anyway. But like if Washington won that football game, like I wouldn't be crazy shocked. You know what I mean?
Well, that takes care of itself in two aspects, though. Obviously, if Washington's sitting there 13-0 undefeated, then they're in, and Oregon's a 2-loss team, so they're not in the conversation anymore.
Let's do this right now. Where we're at right now, give me your college football playoff, what you think is going to happen. I'll go first because I thought about it already, and I'll give you guys a second to think, right? Georgia 1, Ohio State 2. Mark that down now. Oregon 3, Texas 4.
Gene, I agree 110% with you. That's my exact 4. I think Oregon is going to handle business against Washington, and I got Texas avenging their loss. And I think Florida State loses either this week or next week.
That's my
mine's gonna be exactly the same except for number 2. So it'll go Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Texas.
I feel like I'm like like last year I was Michigan. This year I'm Ohio State. I feel like that I'm like the teeter of your group, right? This matchup. The game is on Saturday. Let's start previewing college football. We can't preview the game first. We got to preview the 2 appetizers, right? You don't have your turkey before you have your little, the shrimp. You have the shrimp. I don't know what you guys have appetizers. We get the chips and dip, but the turkey is the meal. So let's talk about, maybe we could do it like this, right? You don't have your pie first. Maybe we could do the, Oregon State last and then do in the middle. Little turkey, appetizer, main event, little dessert action.
Oregon State's like the stuffing, not quite the top, but still important. It's an integral part of everything.
Pumpkin pie, damn it!
Pumpkin pie is dessert.
I love pumpkin pie, brother.
For Oregon, this is also a playoff game. I know we're going to break it down, but this is another, because if they lose here. Doesn't matter.
We're all playoff games, though, Cottrell. But my point being is there's a game where one team is in and the other team is out, and that's the game, right? So, like, they're all playoff games, right? If Alabama loses this week to Auburn, they're out, right? Like, they're all playoff games.
Yeah. No.
However, there's one game where almost certainly one team is going to get eliminated, and almost certainly the other team has already booked their ticket.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens in the Big Ten title game, where to get blown out by Iowa or
they're both. I looked at the go-ahead line.
21.5.
Yeah, they literally have them both ranked as a 21.5 point favorite of Iowa. It ain't happening. Iowa's getting the dog shit kicked out of them by whoever gets there.
I'm ready to talk about college football this week. Let's start with the Iron Bowl. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Alabama.
This is like the spinach artichoke dip on like the appetizer table. This isn't even a main course game.
I think this is carrots, no dip.
Damn, no dip.
You got veggie tray. The dips all ran out.
You got to consume it, but you really don't want to. Is that what we're talking about?
Like the food's still in the oven. You got like hour and a half, 2 hours before dinner's ready, but like
just grab a carrot off the plate.
You didn't have any breakfast. You need something. So you grab your dry carrots and you got to just make do.
Aunt comes out and refills.
Like when you have the cheese and pepperoni and crackers tray, and the cheese has been sitting out for too long, but you're kind of hungry, so you grab a stick of that cheese. And you're like, probably shouldn't have did that, right? Like,
gotta eat.
All right. So I don't think this is a game. Although I will give Auburn credit. I will. Because every single time they play this game, it seems like they show up. And the funny part of it, like the part that kind of stands out to me even more, is they show up even more when the game is in Auburn, right? This game is in Auburn. Could there be a crazy upset? Little Gene Chizik action from back in the day? No, I don't think so. But let's break it down. Control, start us off.
So, I mean, this game is interesting because last week, Alex, got to give him all the credit in the world. He used New Mexico State as his super dog pick, and they blew the doors off Auburn. So, obviously, you don't need any extra added motivation. But coming off of that loss when you were 21-point favorites and you get absolutely abused in that game, I do think that adds to this game even more than it normally would. Now, with that said, this Auburn team just isn't that talented. And with the way that Alabama's looking right now, I just don't believe that they're going to let an Auburn team get in their way. So I have Alabama winning. I do think this game is going to be somewhat competitive. I think the spread's probably about right where it needs to be. I think Alabama wins by 2 scores. I don't know if it's 14 or if it's 10, but I think Alabama is going to fully have this game in control. But Auburn's just going to be the annoying team that kind of just sticks around. Peyton Thorne is going to be his last game in college football. I do think that is going to mean something to him. He's going to leave it all out there. But at the end of the day, I think Bama, what they have and how they're playing right now is going to be too much. I think Bama wins this one like a 34-20 kind of game.
I think Alabama's going to roll. I think, I don't think anybody had the
old.
Can
you say it?
No, they're going to what? No, I'll say it later. I'll say it later for you. I don't think there's going to be any magic in Jordan Hare Stadium this weekend. I don't think anybody had the New Mexico State, trap game on their bingo card this year for Auburn, getting smoked at home before the Iron Bowl. But listen, I'm going to disagree with my man Cottrell on this a little bit. I think Alabama wins big. I think 14.5 is light. I think Nick Saban is telling those kids, you're playing for your lives this week again. We need style points, no let up, get them ready for Georgia. I don't think there's going to be any mercy in this game either. I think if they can score 45, 50 on them, they're going to try. I think Milroe and company keep on going. They don't slow down. I like Alabama big.
Okay. I like Bama too. I was just trying to lead up, just trying to do some foreshadowing. I like Alabama. I don't want to get too far into this one. I guess we go with the side, the mashed potatoes. Sorry, Alex, your side this week.
Best side there is.
Yeah. So we'll go Oregon State. Oregon's a 13.5-point favorite, which I find very interesting considering they were just a 2.5-point favorite over Washington this past week. And they kept the game rather close. It was 22-20. Your thoughts on this game? I don't think Oregon's on any real upset alert. Could they be looking ahead to the Pac-12 title game? I don't think so. I think the rivalry games that these teams are going to be going through, the little Civil War action that we're going to see. I like Oregon to roll in this one. They're playing at Oregon. I think that they win the football game rather easily.
I like Oregon at home too. I don't know if I would put the 13.5 on the line. It is a rivalry game. It's kind of a weird situation where neither quarterback is actually like kind of really part of the rivalry. Both transferred in, but you learn to hate people quick. It's not that hard, but it is. I think Oregon State, their season was last week, so it's that part of it for me is difficult. If they would have beat Washington last week, this game would have mattered even more than it does now. It would have mattered for both sides. I like Oregon at home. I can't see the Beavers going into Austin Stadium and winning that football game. I just can't. I think Damian Martinez has been great. DJ Hughes played pretty well. I just don't see them outperforming Bo Nix and Bucky. So I like the Ducks. Like I said, I think it's a 2-possession game, maybe not 14, maybe 10, something like that. But I like the Ducks comfortably. I agree with Gene as well. I don't think that they're ever in any danger of losing the football game.
Alex, my friend, I love that you brought that up because that matters a ton. He said Oregon State upset us last year. That matters so much to these guys. And you talk about, them, both quarterbacks transferring in. Well, Bo Nix was there last year. He was on the losing end of this game. I think Oregon goes out and they try and hang 60 on those Beavers. I don't think they quite get there, but I think Oregon blows the doors off of Oregon State. I'm more confident in them blowing out Oregon State than I am of Bama beating a bad Auburn team, for what it's worth. I think this will be a game where Bo Nix, obviously we know this is going to be his last game, last regular season game in college football. I think he's going to put up 5, maybe 6 touchdowns again.
Go higher.
And
7. Let it be 7.
He's going to solidify himself as the Heisman favorite.
Yes, let's go.
I think Oregon wins this game 49-20. Like, I think it's one of those ugly games where Oregon just blows the doors off of Oregon State, and that's going to get them ready for Washington.
Bo Nix throws 9 touchdowns. 9 this week. And
one for every year that he played college football. That'll be nice.
All right.
Sure, sure he doesn't have like a red shirt left somewhere that he can pull out? Does he use COVID waiver yet?
So what's crazy is that Bo Nix's first game ever, he started against Justin Herbert. Like, in Justin Herbert, it feels like it's been in the league for forever at this point.
Wild. Well, that, and then I didn't realize this, and I guess Cam Rising's going on like year 6 or 7 now too.
Yeah,
with him coming back next year. This stuff, dude, enough. You can play 5. You get one waiver, and like you can't have 25-year-olds playing college football. Like,
Stetson Bennett's got 2 national championships.
I know.
All right, well, let's get into the game. Guys, I'm going to give my prediction on the game, and then I'm going to turn my camera off, and I'm going to let you 2 go at it, and then I'm going to come back in 10 minutes, and hopefully you guys are still alive.
It's not going to be that, so.
Michigan, Ohio State. This year, it's in the big house in Michigan. I think there's too much surrounding Michigan right now. I think there's too much going on. And I think without Harbaugh on that sideline, you're not going to be able to just bully Ohio State. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ohio State's been ready for this game for a while. I think McCord to Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to hear multiple times. I think it's a close game. I think it's rather low scoring. Both times these teams have went up against good defenses. They really haven't looked great on offense. I think Ohio State wins this one 20-17. I think they have the ball as the game ends, and they're kneeling the ball down. I don't think they're ever in real jeopardy. I don't think Michigan's ever in like the red zone or Ohio State's like within their 30-yard line in the fourth quarter. I think Ohio State pulls this one off. I have Ohio State 20, Michigan 17, and I will now allow you to fist fight. Guys, I don't care that you guys think you guys are friends. You're not friends this week. You're supposed to hate each other. I was talking to Cottrell earlier, and he told me that if you had any M's in your name, you're lucky that Bill Shawcross has no M's. But when he writes William, he puts a red X at the end. So take that as you may. The silence. I'm ready for it. Go. Hold on.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet here. Obviously, Ohio State has lost the last 2 years, and for a lot of the guys who are true seniors, they haven't beaten Michigan yet. You have, I think, maybe 4 or 5 players on the entire roster that have a win over Michigan, and as it sits now, that's kind of crazy to think about because Ohio State was winning pretty much every year for a good amount of time, at least in the recent years. So I do think a lot of these guys came back to school because not only did they want to win a national championship, they came back to beat Michigan. Cade Stover's back. He's a senior this year. Tommy Eichenberg, he came back. Would have probably been a 2nd or 3rd round pick last year, but he came back. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to dominate this football game. I do think it's going to be lower scoring, but I think they have that chip on their shoulder about not being this tough and imposing team. Because let's call it what it is. Michigan had been tougher in the trenches the past 2 years. I think that is going to have that chip on their shoulder, and they're going to run the football. And the one big difference from this year as opposed to last year, Travion Henderson is back. So you have your heavy hitters and your home run hitters over there for Michigan with Corum and Donovan Edwards. Travion Henderson will be that home run guy for us. When you need a big play, he's going to deliver. I got Ohio State winning this game. I think it's going to be 23 to 13, lower scoring game, but I think Ohio State punches their ticket to the Big Ten championship.
So all those narratives are nice. I love the sentimental part of it. Michigan has guys that came back, not because they hadn't beat Ohio State, because, they thought they had a chance to win a national championship. Talented, both teams are talented. It's going to be the little things. It's going to be the same. It's going to boil down to the same thing it was the last 2 years. I think Gene brought up a good point. With both their offenses, when they play in elite defenses, they slow down a little bit. I think that's true. I mean, I think our team looked a little bit better against Penn State than Ohio State, but it's very minimal. We had to play them on the road. That being said, I think the one huge advantage we have is at the quarterback position. JJ went to Ohio State, went to the Horseshoe and already won. It's Kyle McCord's first start in this rivalry. He's going to the big house. It's going to be loud. It's going to be nasty. The one thing I disagree with Gene on, not having Harbaugh there. Harbaugh doesn't call the plays. Sherrone Moore does. So the play calling is not going to be any different in this game than it would be the other two. I think his presence not being there will be felt and could be an issue or could be a detraction. I'm not going to disagree with that, but it's not going to affect the play calling at all. I think it boils down to execution. I really do. I like our guys better. I think Marvin Harrison is the guy they got to contain. I think Travion Henderson is talented and great as he is. I think he'll have a good game. I don't think he has a great game. I think Edwards is starting to hit his stride. Blake Corum's doing his normal thing. I think that offensive line is going to dominate just like it did the last 2 years. I think Michigan wins. I think Michigan wins 27-21. And I think Ryan Day firmly gets put on the hot seat. And it gets real interesting what goes on over in Columbus.
I will say neither one of these teams, up until last week when Michigan did it for the first time this year, but we almost seen a game with Ohio State, Michigan, with neither team allowing 20 points from the opponent all year. That's 22 games, and 21 of them, their opponents had less than 20 points. Last week, Maryland scored 24 versus Michigan. Granted, probably a look-ahead game. I get it. But I will say this. These are the two best defenses in the country. I think they're both defenses are better than Georgia. I'll take Ohio State over Michigan here, but I think it has a lot to do with the leadership on the sidelines. And you could say whatever you want to say about the play calling or this, and that. But I will say this. Michigan's looked great, but they look better when Harbaugh's on the field.
And we'll see how they respond too when they don't know what play's coming. So, I mean, that's going to be the true test here. You
guys had our signs last year and we still beat you. So I guess the same goes for you guys too.
Those reports come out, after the fact,
Here we go.
I get it.
Nobody's even denied it.
We weren't at your
bottom
game.
line is you guys had
our
signs last year.
We did everything legal.
People confirmed it, bro. You guys had our signs last year, and we still came into your house and kicked your ass. And it's going to happen again this week. And then Ryan Day can go on TV again and cry and say it's this. I don't know. Maybe this year it'll be the weather again because it's supposed to be really cold Saturday in Ann Arbor. He's not going to be able to say we had our signs because we didn't have your signs this year.
I'm just saying it'll get real dicey once the game looks very different this year as opposed to last year when you brought back pretty much everybody. But hey, you don't got Connor on the sidelines anymore to say, hey, this is what they're running. They're going this direction. Let's call this over there.
Block to stop the end of the game, and Donovan Edwards went for 80 yards. Like
I understand.
What are you
that.
arguing about?
I 100%
You guys put
understand that. That's
9
one
guys
play
on the
though.
line, and our line still dominated
one play.
to
Hey,
the house. The
we're gonna see you
Don,
on
baby,
Saturday.
nailing the coffin at the horseshoe. Good.
We will
Come up
see
with
you
your
on
excuses
Saturday
now.
and see
when we win,
exactly
it
what
ain't
happens.
going to be signs. It ain't going to be weather. It ain't going to be COVID. It ain't going to be the flu. It's going to be Michigan is just better. Get used to hearing it. Michigan is just better than Ohio State right now.
Gene, I love it.
This class is better.
I love it because I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now what's going to happen, Gene. Ohio State is going to win this football game. I am going to clip that little soliloquy that Bill had right there because it's cute. And I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to have some Ohio State highlights right after it. And then you're going to probably pan. Sharon Moore's probably going to be on the sideline crying again because he let Jim Harbaugh down this time. He cried the first time because, it meant the world to him to beat Penn State, although the reason why Jim Harbaugh wasn't on the sideline was because he's the leader of a cheating program. So we'll have Sharon Moore on the sidelines crying. The video of him out there over on the sideline. Desmond Howard's going to probably come on ESPN the next day. That Monday, Desmond Howard's going to come on like, oh, well, this is just a load of horse shit, and Ohio State shouldn't have even been here, and Michigan still deserves to be in the playoff because that's how delusional these guys are up there in Ann Arbor.
Desmond said, I'm already on record saying if they lose, they're out.
All right.
It's whatever.
Break. That's what I've been waiting for.
I just want the.
I said break.
Break on the game?
This is what I've been wanting all year. I tried to drop.
Honest, dude. There is nobody on this show, college-wise, that has the moral high ground to anything going on. Let's just make that abundantly clear.
That's easy for you to say.
It really is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have the moral high ground. We have not been cheating.
In what way?
We haven't either.
Which one's worse?
Oh,
Whoa. That was years ago, bro.
Years ago? We just went.
Everybody that was involved in that's dead.
They're all grown up now.
I'm just saying, we talked about it last week. We talked about it last week as well. And we talked about the people that we hate in sports. Urban Meyer had a pretty clean record here at Ohio State.
Pretty clean record.
At Ohio State, at least.
Coach beating the balls off his girlfriend. What are you talking about?
That was Shelley. That wasn't Urban.
Does not exist on this show for college football. It doesn't.
Guys, we got to go to pick 'em, and then we're gonna get to our moments that we're thankful for. So we got all the hate out, and we're about to get into moments that we're thankful for.
Urban Meyer.
All right, let's get into pick 'em. Throw it up on the screen. Cottrell is leading in the real standings, I guess they would call them. I am leading in the Super Dog standings with another Super Dog victory. I feel like I should be picking the order here.
I mean, what's the percentage, though? Cottrell's like...
It's not percentage.
What is percentage?
No, it's points.
Percentage. What do you mean?
Why do I get all my losses for both, but I don't get my wins for both? I said this last week, and everyone's like, oh, you're right.
No, that's not what we said.
I don't get my wins for both, but I get my losses for both.
You've lost. Yeah, you're fifth. You're that the top number always matches the bottom number. Look across the screen. Cottrell has 13 losses in both. You've 21. I have 17. It's all the same. You just lost more games than everybody.
I did, but I also have more Super Dog points.
You do have more Super Dog points. I will give you that. We'll give you that for sure.
Champions do, brother. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I can't hate.
What order are we going in tonight, Cottrell?
Well, I guess we'll sandwich Bill in there. Gene, you can go first. We'll sandwich Bill in this time. I'll go last. I'll end this off on the right note, and we'll go from there.
I have very selfish picks. All my picks are selfish, and I'm okay with that. I have Oregon minus 13.5 over Oregon State. I think Bo Nix throws for 19 touchdowns in this football game and solidifies my Heisman bet of him to win the Heisman. That's the only reason I care about this game. Because I want to win the Heisman, period. Not Bo Nix, me. My bet. Forget Bo Nix. Second part. I got Florida plus 6.5 over Florida State. Like, what we're doing is on both quarterbacks are out. Jordan Travis is out and Graham Mertz is out. When Graham Mertz is out, Florida probably gets better. I don't care about that. Give me Florida plus 6.5 over Florida State. And then who did I pick to win the Natty? I forget. Oh, I got Texas minus 13.5 over Texas Tech. I'm taking selfish picks. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down selfishly. Oh, and here's a fun one. Just for the Super Dog, I added this one just for Cottrell. Give me Colorado plus 21.5 over Utah for my Super Dog, and I'll take it with ketchup, no onions, American cheese. Thank you.
American cheese, my guy.
For the record, Kent State got the doors blown off of them last week. So
what are you talking about? I have no idea what we're talking about.
Gene's blessed with that short memory thing.
I only have short memory when I'm wrong.
Selective short memory.
I remember me calling Georgia win the national championship. I remember that vividly. But I do not remember me saying anything about Kent State last week. No idea. I didn't guarantee any type of victory.
Told you guys should have bet something on that last week.
We should have. Cottrell was scared.
Here we go. I'm going to start with Penn State minus 20.5 against Michigan State. I think Penn State blows the doors off Michigan State. Just the finish line of just an awful year / season / going on 4 years now on Michigan State's campus. I think you're going to see Drew Aller opening up. We got a new OC this week. They fired their OC after the Michigan game because they got embarrassed. I think you see Drew Aller throw the ball downfield a lot. I think Penn State tries to put up a lot of points, open up the offense. I like Penn State big, especially with that elite defense. I don't like Michigan State might not score. They're terrible. Second game, I already mentioned it when we went over a preview. I got Alabama big at Auburn. This is not a good Auburn team. I know it's an Iron Bowl and weird things happen, but I don't see it this week or this year. I think Nick Saban is going to have those guys out for blood. He knows he's got to score points. He's tried to climb rankings, no letdowns, foot on the gas the whole time. I like Alabama big, roll tide. And last but not least, I'm going to go UCLA at home minus 9.5 against California. California stinks. UCLA just blew the doors off USC again last week. Last home game, all the seniors. I like them to win big. California's terrible. I like UCLA. They're pretty comfy, actually. And for my super dog, I'm going to agree with Gene. I'm going to go to the well one more time. I like Colorado plus 21.5 at Utah. I think they score enough points to stay in it. Utah doesn't have an offense where they have quick strikes. I know that's hard to say against Colorado's defense because they would struggle against a touch football team. But that being said, I think Colorado scores enough to stay in it, steal some super dog points. So I like Colorado plus 21.5 at Utah.
Okay, so my first pick, I am going to agree with Gene on this one. I like Florida plus 6.5 versus Florida State. And if you're feeling froggy, I throw Florida on the money line. I think Florida is going to run the football very effectively. And, I do think Jordan Travis not being there for Florida State is going to be more of a shock. And you got away with it last week against a North Alabama team that had no business being in that game. And I don't think you're going to be able to get away with it this game against Florida, especially with it being a rivalry game. So I like Florida plus 6.5. I really think they win that football game, though. Second game, I like South Carolina plus 7.5 versus Clemson. Clemson's playing great football right now, but we saw how that game went last year. I do believe, revenge is going to be on Clemson's mind, but Spencer Rattler, I think, is going to put South Carolina on his back, keep that game as close as humanly possible. I think South Carolina is another team that can go out there and not just cover that 7.5, but win. But I'll take that 7.5 pretty comfortably. Last game I got. Bill didn't have the cojones to do it. I'm doing it. I got Ohio State on the money line. I don't care about the spread. Give me Ohio State on the money line. If they lose, if they cover that 3, I'm still taking the L in that game. I got Ohio State on the money line. They're going into the big house and they're taking care of business. And I'm putting it down stone cold, hard, lead pipe, lock, whatever you want to call it. Last game I got from my super dog. I think this is going to be a little bit of a look ahead game. You saw Washington get pushed to the brink last week. I think they're going to get pushed to the brink again this week. You got Washington State plus 16.5 traveling up to Washington. For Washington State, their season's, for all intents and purposes, their season is all all over. Like they've completely fallen off from where they were at the beginning of the year. But I think they're going to go to Washington and give them their toughest punch. And I think Cam Ward is going to find ways to keep that game close. I think Washington squeaks by yet again, another game where they're begging to get beat, but they're looking ahead to that matchup against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And I think Washington State catches them sleeping. Washington wins that football game, but I think it's going to be relatively tight.
I want to tell you right now, look out for Mad Max Brown this weekend. I love him. Gators, Max Brown. He's the next one. All right, so now that Cottrell has had the cojones to make it out here to pick him, and Bill didn't, I can just officially tell you that Cottrell's won the argument. I'm kidding.
I haven't picked the game once.
I'm just kidding.
That's fine.
All right, so we're going to talk about – we got our last segment, and you got to be kidding me. It's our moments that we're thankful for as sports fans on this Thanksgiving Day. We want to talk about our 5 most thankful moments in all of sports to us. So we made a list, and Cottrell put together a nice little graphic for us, and he's going to put it on the screen right now. And I mean, this is fun, right? Shally has a weird game, and I have a weird game, right? So like we'll talk about that. But I'm looking forward to going through this list. I think no, we didn't talk about this part. I think we should all read our list 5 through 1. Not do the round the horn thing. I think we should all read our list 5 through 1 so we can lead up to our number 1. Is everyone okay with that?
I'm good with it.
I'm fine.
So Cottrell, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I'll start here with number 5 for me, 2020, that COVID year, Browns versus the Steelers. This game happened technically in 2021. It was the playoff game for the Browns versus Steelers, and this was a game that Cleveland had won. Not only did they win the playoff game, which obviously would have been, very meaningful for me being a Browns fan because I'm so used to seeing that team lose, but it made it that much sweeter just knowing that was Ben Roethlisberger's last game, and that's how he had to go out. Like, I know he's got 2 Super Bowls, and, he kicked our ass for all those years, but the last taste of NFL action that he had was losing to the Cleveland Browns. Same thing with Marquise Ponce as well. So that game is definitely one of those top 5 moments for me. And the moment specifically is when they panned over, I believe the game was on NBC. They panned over to Ben Roethlisberger and Pouncey over there on the bench, and you could see the tears flowing down their face. It was absolutely beautiful. Number 4, I'm going with 2016, the game, Ohio State, Michigan. That game was absolutely incredible. It was one of those ones where literally went down to the wire. And at the end of the game, Curtis Samuel had the walk-off touchdown, threw his arms up in the air, and the streak continued. One of my favorite moments, at least in more recent years, in that rivalry, especially because I remember exactly where I was at, down in North Carolina with the fam, watching on TV. It was great, absolutely great. Number 3 for me, I got the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Now, I kind of cheated here because I got a plethora of games to really pick from here. But that was the Olympics where, Michael Phelps went on. He got the 8 gold medals. That was absolutely, amazing to watch because I was locked into all those events, even being as young as I was. Plus, that was the emergence of Usain Bolt. That was the first time where we saw him on that world stage, competing the 100, competing the 200, and really take care of business there. So those 2008 Olympics were, ones that I'll never forget. Number 2 for me, 2014 college football playoff national championship. You had Ohio State going up against Oregon. Ohio State was there with their 3rd string quarterback, and they captured the first ever college football playoff national championship game. It was great to watch. The game was never really in serious doubt. I'm sure if you let Alex tell it, there was some doubt there, but the game was really never in serious doubt. Loved watching it. I loved that team rally around, being on their 3rd string quarterback there. It was all around great experience. And then number 1 for me, 2016 NBA Finals Game 7. Specific moment, Kyrie Irving hitting the shot over Steph, give the Cavs a 3-point lead, and ultimately capture the first ever NBA championship for that Cleveland Cavaliers team. Meant a lot because Bron came back home. You know, he had always said, like, you know, I want to win a championship in Cleveland. Came back home. He did it. And just being around and being in that atmosphere, being in the city then was absolutely insane. I was at the airport when they came back from where are they? What are they? Oakland at the time. And then also just being there for the parade as well. So number one moment for me by far, 2016 NBA Finals, Game 7.
So if you just tuning in, we are going over our top five sports moments that we're thankful for on this Thanksgiving Eve. Shally, I'm going to pass the rock to you for your 5.
All right, I'm going to start number 5, 97 Rose Bowl. Michigan played Washington State, obviously. That was the year Charles Woodson won the Heisman. It was also the year Michigan won the national championship after defeating Washington State in the Rose Bowl. Obviously, being a Michigan fan that young, and predominantly my family, huge Penn State fans. There was a lot of bragging rights that winter, so it was that was a fun winter for me. And obviously, hoping for them to get back there this year, but that's one of the first significant, really big wins for me as a sports fan. Obviously, being that young. Second one is Eagles Broncos. I gave Charlie the wrong date. It's supposed to be 1992, not 2002. That's my fault, though. This is significant for 2 reasons. This is the first time I ever went to a sporting event with my dad. And he also pulled a lot of strings to get tickets to this game. Because if anybody who's watched the show for the last 3 years, John Elway was my favorite player growing up. So to be able to watch that game, watch him come in, and play against that Eagles defense with Reggie and all those people and experience walking into the vet for the first time as a 12-year-old was a special thing for me. Number 3 is going to piggyback on that. I really started I got into hockey kind of at a young age, which I feel is not necessarily the norm all the time. In 93, the following year, Dad took me to my first hockey game. Flyers played the Hartford Whalers. They won 5-4 in overtime. Same kind of thing. First time I ever walked into the Spectrum. It's weird when you go to these places now, and when you're a kid, they seem so much bigger, and everything seems, larger than life. And then you go in as an adult, and you realize you lose a lot of that. You walk in and just kind of, when you're an adult, you can go to any game you want to go to, as long as you can buy a ticket. When you're younger, obviously you rely on your parents to purchase those tickets, to drive you. So, you realize you can never get those times back. So 3 and 4 are very sentimental to me. Number 2 and 1 are almost interchangeable. But number 2, obviously, being a diehard Philly fan, just like Gene is, you pray that at some point in your life you get to watch them all win, their respective championships. So number 2 for me was obviously Super Bowl 52, the Eagles versus the Patriots, to beat Tom Brady and that team, and finally have it sink in that, you got to watch a Super Bowl victory. Was super special to me. I watched that with a whole group of my friends at a bar that was packed, and the atmosphere just made that incredible. That is something I will never forget. The number 1 for me, again, if you know me, baseball is my one true love. Phillies were really good when I was young. They won the World Series, the year I was born and when I was really young. So for them to finally win it, to be able to watch it as an adult, be there at Game 5, and again, celebrate it with friends and just be down around the stadium when that happened and be in that atmosphere. It is absolutely the number 1 sports memory that I'm thankful for.
I've picked 5 specific moments, right? So we all did this. It's a literal thing. We can do it any way we want to do it, but I picked 5 specific moments. December 10th, 1995. Barry Switzer and the Dallas Cowboys are playing at Philadelphia. It's a 17-17 game, back and forth. Dallas dominated the majority of the game. Philadelphia came back. It's a 4th and 1. The Dallas Cowboys have the best offensive line in football with the best running back in football in Emmitt Smith. There's 2 minutes and 3 seconds left on the clock. Ball gets snapped at around 2:01, 2:02, and the Philadelphia Eagles stuff Emmitt Smith at the Eagles, basically at Dallas's own 30-yard line. They went for it on their own 30. That's how disrespectful this Dallas Cowboys team was. And the Eagles stuffed them. And it gets blown dead for the 2-minute warning. Everyone in Philadelphia thought it was fixed. Dallas got every call in the world. They were pissed. Even John Madden and Pat Summerall were like, there's no way they should have stopped that play. Come out of a timeout, and guess what? Barry Switzer's going for it again. And I'm going to give you Merrill Reese on the call. Aikman drops back, hands to Emmett, and they stuffed him again! They stuffed him again! And the Philadelphia Eagles took over at the 30-yard line, ran the clock down, kicked the game-winning field goal. That's my number 5. Loved every moment of it. Number 4, I got 2 from the Phillies' 2008 run. I couldn't leave this one off. Philadelphia Phillies are losing the game 5-3 to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pivotal game 4. Pivotal game 4. It's 2-1 in the series. They're about to tie it up at 2. It's 5-3. Victorino comes up and hits a 2-run homer to tie the game in the 8th inning. Jonathan Broxton, the huge closer for the Los Angeles Dodgers, is in the game. A walk and then a pinch hitter for the number 9 hitter was Matt Stairs. And Joe Buck, don't like him that much, but he had a hell of a call on this one. Stairs hits one deep into the night, and the Phillies take a 7-5 lead. Phillies go up 3-1, end up winning the series, winning the World Series, but we'll talk about that later. Number 3, the miracle at the New Meadowlands. Philadelphia Eagles were getting beat 31-10 in the fourth quarter. Michael Vick brought that team back. Vick to Macklin, Vick to Jackson, Vick to Selleck, all Shady McCoy. It's 31-31. Philadelphia Eagles have made a stop. They're going to get a punt. There's 13 seconds left on the clock. Giants coach at the time, Tom Coughlin, is telling them to punt the ball. Matt Dodge was the punter. Punt it out of bounds. He misses it off the side of his foot. It bounces. Bobbled. Deshaun Jackson picks it up. He makes the man miss. He can go. There's no flags on the field. Jackson's going to score. Running around. And the Eagles win. Walked off. The miracle of the Meadowlands. The New Meadowlands. Eagles, Giants, number 3. Number 2. I gave you a specific moment for every single one. The Phillies won the World Series, but I'm going to give you the exact moment. Lid sets. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. The 2008 Philadelphia Phillies are world champions of baseball. That moment, wearing my matching Phillies hoodie with my dad, went to Frankfurt and Kottman and celebrated the World Series. It was incredible. There's only one moment that could top it. Ever since we were kids, we always watched the Eagles, no matter what the situation was. Me and my dad would always watch the game together, and Super Bowl 52 was no different. I actually have a very embarrassing story to tell you guys about that game. When Carson Wentz got hurt, I gave somebody 10-1 odds that the Eagles wouldn't win the Super Bowl. He's like, I'll bet $50 to your 500. The Eagles won the playoff game versus Atlanta. They won the playoff game versus the Vikings. Well, they're never going to beat Brady and Belichick with a backup quarterback in Nick Foles. In fact, in week 17, I was calling for them to go for a third-string quarterback because Foles just had a terrible performance on Monday Night Football versus the Raiders. Get to the Super Bowl, and the Philly special happens, and the Eagles are winning, and here comes the evil empire. Here come the Patriots. Touchdown, Gronkowski. The Eagles come back. They score a touchdown to Zach Ertz. Take a 38-33 lead. That's not enough versus Tom Brady. There's still 2 minutes and change left, and they only need a touchdown. You're talking about a guy that just came back from 28-3 the year prior. The snap. Graham gets in the backfield. He strips Brady. Barnett recovers. And the Philadelphia Eagles are world champions. They kicked the field goal to go up 8, to go up 41-33, and they won the Super Bowl. Watched that with my dad. Got to Frankfurt and Cotman. Got to see a parade. I can't express to you how amazing that moment was. So on this Thanksgiving Eve, I'm going to be thankful for those moments. Went a little bit emotional there. Got a little hype. All right, guys. You got to be kidding me this week. Do you guys have one? How are we looking?
I don't.
Not going to lie to you either. I feel like normally I do have them. This week, got nothing.
Well, I have one. I didn't have one either.
Yours is great.
I didn't have one either until 9/11 this morning. November 22nd, 2023. Jim Irsay cites, I'm a white billionaire and I was prejudiced against myself. I was being prejudiced against because I'm a rich white billionaire. If I'm just an average guy down the block, they're not pulling me in. Of course not. I don't care what it sounds like. It's the truth. I could give a damn what people think, how anything sounds or sounds like. The truth is, I know the truth. And I'm a rich white billionaire. And that's why they pulled me in for a DUI. You know, Jim, if you worked your ass off to earn that $1 billion and you knew what life was like to grow up not rich, no, your daddy handed you down the team in 1984. Let's not pretend that you earned that money or you earned that situation that you're in. I'm a rich white billionaire so I can drive drunk. No, jerk. If you were an average Joe, if you were me, you'd be in jail. You'd be in jail for 31 days. You'd be sitting in the drunk tank. DUI is not something to play around with. And for you to cite that you're a rich white billionaire and that's the only reason you got in trouble for a DUI, you're an asshole. I'm sorry. I try not to curse much on this show, but you're an absolute jackass. I can't stand a word that comes out of your mouth. And for this week, you've earned my you got to be kidding me.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
Friggin' jerk off. Guys, I have final thoughts. Do you have final thoughts?
I do.
I mean, I got some quick, with it being Thanksgiving, I'll just get it out the way. Let you guys have your time. Definitely, we say it every year we get around this show. Thankful that we are still doing this. Obviously, we've come a long way, not just with the content, but with the different circumstances surrounding it. Obviously, we used to be in studio, and I'm not there anymore, and studio stopped being there, and just different hitches along the way. We found a way to still do it every single week, regardless of what was going on. Even if one of us missed, we still have been able to put out a show every single week for 163 weeks straight. So I'm thankful that we got a chance to do that. Also, this will be the first year that me and Audie are in our house, and we're actually hosting this year. So, thankful to get that opportunity. Family came down, and we're gonna have a great time. So, just looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the support we get. I'm wishing everybody out there happy Thanksgiving.
So yeah, I'm gonna say, a couple different things than obviously the normal thing that I normally say. To echo a lot of what Cottrell said, I'm obviously thankful for these two guys that for over 3 years now I get to put out this thing that we've created and molded together and improved. And like Cottrell said, we don't suck as bad as we did the first couple times we did it. It's gotten better, and we're still here, and a lot of that has to do with not only our own passion for this, but the will to want to do this together and make it together, but also because of all the people that listen to this on a weekly basis and share it and make it bigger than it is the week before. We can't do this without all of you. So, we do say that a lot, and I can't emphasize enough how thankful we are for all of you guys, and how thankful I am for both of you too. My normal message is it takes on a little bit more of a bittersweet thing this year. I'm a big family person, as is Gene, as is Cottrell too. I don't mean to make it sound that way, but so I apologize for that, even though, it's Ohio State week. But Thanksgiving is a big holiday for me, and it is for a lot of people. And the holidays are always the hardest part of the year to not be around or have the people around that you want to have around. And I say this every year, don't take for granted, the breaking the bread, the eating with people, look around and really be thankful that they're all there. Be thankful for your loved ones, be thankful for your friends, your family, the life that you have, your love, the people that you're in love with, everything. Because it can, it can change in a heartbeat's notice. It can. And that's the sad reality of life. I'm not trying to sound too somber here, but, be thankful for the happy moments you have in your life with your family. As I've gotten older, as you guys will as well. And the people that you grew up with thinking that we're going to be there forever, not always there. And it's a tough, it's a tough reality of life to accept. And the holidays always magnify that and make it the worst. So me and Gene know somebody who lost her partner last night unexpectedly from the league that we play softball in. And Fern, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Scott was a great guy, and I'll leave it at that. But I just hope everybody has a great day. I really do.
Bill, I tagged Fern intentionally because I wanted to, guys. I don't know if you guys know, but the patriarch of my family, my grandfather, just passed away on Sunday, and he was 91 years old. And I was going to end the show, thankful for everything he's brought me. And trust me, I'm super thankful for everything my grandfather's brought to me as a man and as a human being. I heard of the news of Scott this morning, and my heart breaks for the Lyon family. My heart breaks for Fern. Scott is one of the nicest human beings to ever grace this planet. And he did not, when I got the news, I was just like, he's in the ICU. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm hoping everything gets better. I'm hoping he gets better. And I didn't even, maybe it's just weird of me, but I just couldn't even put into words that what it would mean that he would not be here. I thought he would, he'd have to recover and he would get the help that he needed, and he'd be home soon. Got the terrible news this morning at 6:55, and I wanted to end the show just asking for anyone that's out there to please say a prayer for Fern, say a prayer for her family, say a prayer for Scott's family. Scott was taken from us late last night, and it absolutely breaks my heart. It breaks my freaking heart. Because if you've seen Fern and Scott, you know that they're like the nicest people on the planet. And no one deserves to go through a pain that they're going through right now this morning. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for all the Wire2Wire listeners. I'm thankful for every single person that checks out this show every week. But the holidays are sometimes a time to celebrate with your family. But I want you to remember they're also some of the toughest times in the world. And in 2019, I went through that tough holiday stretch without my father. And I can't even fathom what Fern and the Lyon family are going through this morning, today, and this holiday season. So I wanted to give a special I love you, Fern. And whatever you need, anything you need, we're here for you. And to my Aunt Lori, my Aunt Joy, my Uncle Gary, and the rest of the Walzak family, rest in peace, Eugene Walzak Sr. And to Fern and the Lion family, rest in peace to Scott, one of the nicest human beings on the planet. Sorry to end the show on such a somber note, but there's no way we couldn't touch on either one of those things. Anything else? Anything needs to say?
No, that Cottrell though, hosting this year. Have to give Liz credit. The work that she's put in, and the spread that she has prepared for my family and Katie and Travis and little JD and my mom and everybody. It's exciting. So I'm with Cottrell in that boat. I like starting new traditions. So I'm excited for that tomorrow. So just wanted to make sure that was acknowledged as well, because she's been running around like a crazy person this week. So,
well, thank you, and I'm thankful to have you two amazing gentlemen that I get to do this show with every week. So thank you guys so much for hopping on here every Wednesday night, and let's live our fantasy out. Like let's continue doing that, and let's make Wire2Wire huge and continue to blow it up. Not only a podcast, but as a network, with coast to coast, sideline to sideline, and continuing to grow. So without further ado, that is the end of our Thanksgiving episode, our Thanksgiving Eve episode. I hope you guys have a very happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.